Greetings, my name is John Gabriel and this is a new calculus channel. So today I'd like to talk about the importance of language in mathematics, and I'm going to show you how mainstream academics have gone so far astray because they haven't been focusing on language and what it means for a concept to be well defined. So let's begin. Now, you'll often hear about the term instant or instance or instantaneous. And what exactly does it mean in mathematics? In fact, let's examine it one step at a time, seeing how we can try to make sense of it, if possible. So, an instant is defined as a precise moment of time. Okay, so I've already explained to you in great detail in past videos exactly what is the concept of time, or a very short space of time, a moment. Now, a space of time doesn't actually make sense. I think what is meant is an interval, right? So, but then again, when you read this definition, you begin to wonder, what does a moment mean? Okay, so what exactly does a moment mean? So you go on to the next definition. So a moment is a minute portion or point of time. Well, I don't know that there's such a thing as point of time. That's just nonsense in my opinion. There can't be a point of time. But it's a minute portion of time, which means if there is an interval, then a minute portion is a part of that interval, or otherwise a comparatively brief period of time. So already you can see that even from the very tracing of the definition, there are many problems. You don't know what is moment, and you still don't know what instance is because you don't have a proper definition of moment. But you have to look further. So a good place always to browse, although it's very iffy because it's not, in my opinion, scientific and not authoritative, even though it's written by the Church of Academia, is the Wikipedia. It says in physics and the philosophy of science, instant refers to an infinitesimal interval in time whose passage is instantaneous. Now, there is so much wrong with that sentence, and it's probably not possible to cover everything in it, but I'm going to try to explain as much as I can. Well, first of all, the first question that comes to our mind is, what is an infinitesimal? Okay, even before we consider what does it mean to be an infinitesimal interval, okay, and now all this is still trying to figure out what is an instant in mathematics, okay? And so an infinitesimal is defined by Webster as an immeasurably or incalculably small value, or an infinitesimal difference, taking on values arbitrary, close to, but greater than zero. Wow. Okay, so let's look at it slowly. Infinitesimal interval, by the way, is an oxymoron because it suggests indivisibility, not indivisibility as you see here. It suggests indivisibility of time units, okay? And if something is indivisible, well, it can't be measured. And it can't be well defined in terms of number because number requires measure. Remember, I gave you the definition of a number the first time in human history. A number is a name given to a measure that describes a magnitude. So the next part of that sentence which is wrong is the one which says whose passage is instantaneous. And that sounds like a phrase that some idiot like Professor Gilbert Strang from MIT would use. Well, first of all, time intervals don't travel. So passage, which I presume is used as a verb in that phrase, is entirely irrelevant, okay? I won't even begin to talk about the adjective instantaneous because it makes no sense logically, mathematically, physically, or scientifically, okay? So this whole expression here is just total garbage, and it's the one that you will find on the Wikipedia Moronica. I actually call it Moronica because it's composed and written by morons, in my opinion. Okay, so To understand how these contradictions in meaning came to be a part of mathematics and science, we need to look back at Newton. Okay, Newton was the one who, in order to measure speed, started off with a ratio. What kind of ratio? The ratio of distance covered to elapsed time. Okay, for most computations, this above ratio is usually an average, in the same sense that all ratios are also averages when interpreted as number. So 1 over 1, 1 over 2, 3 over 4, p over q, etc. are all averages and also numbers, right? To imagine an indivisible time, the elapsed time must for all purposes be 0. Stop the video right now and think about these things. You need to, okay? Now, my intellectual inferiors never understood the concept of number, and they know in their infinitely small minds that division by 0 is not possible. So they resort to the terminology of infinitesimal. Now, this syphilitic thinking is equivalent to claiming that an immediate real number, there is no such thing as a real number, but let's humor them and say there is, which is a successor of 0, is possible. Think of the bullshit now of continuity of the real number, etc. Right? If you're even nearly as smart as I am, you will know that there's no such thing, and it is all an elaborate myth. So even so, it requires a huge leap of faith to accept that infinitesimal is some measure greater than 0, but less than every real number. Okay, I don't have to say every real number. I can say less than every magnitude, okay? It still wouldn't make any sense, all right? So it's some measure greater than 0 or some magnitude greater than 0, but less than every real number. There is no such magnitude, okay? In mathematics, there isn't. So, let's summarize. What I'm telling you is that there is no such thing as an instant in time. It's complete rot. There is, however, a particular time where speed is concerned, but where speed is concerned, there is never an instantaneous speed. And of course, there can't be an instantaneous speed, because if you look at the finite difference ratio, which describes speed, you cannot have 0 over 0, okay? So the only way you can try to explain away an instantaneous speed is by introducing a smooth function. But in that case, it's not an instantaneous speed. It's a speed at a given time or at a particular time t, okay? So by the very Newtonian definition, time cannot be 0 or infinitesimal. So I really do know better than you. And I've thought about these things for a very long time. And my IQ is higher than most people. I don't subscribe to bullshit concepts in any science. My new calculus is proof of this fact, okay? The new calculus shows that you don't need a continuous, you don't even need real numbers, by the way, for the mean value theorem, or for the fundamental theorem of calculus, or any mathematics. And in fact, to be brutally frank with you, we've never used anything but rational numbers. There are no other numbers, okay? Because a number, by definition, is a name given to a measure that describes a size or a magnitude. This and nothing else, everything else you've heard about number, is total garbage. It's wrong, okay? And this is what I want to tell you in this video, is that language is very important. So when we talk about definitions, we need to define things properly, okay? There is no such thing as an instant. I mean, did you see even here where I tried to show you how to make sense out of it? You can't make sense out of it because it goes from one dumb piece of drivel to an even more absurd concept, which doesn't exist in no terms whatsoever. Now, you might get some incredibly stupid idiot like Arthur Rubin, who's a so-called mainstream mathematician from California who likes to believe that there is a subset of the interval 0, 1 which contains the infinitesimals. And supposedly it can be constructed with filters and ultrafilters and all that other set theoretical bullshit. Okay. I had a discussion with this moron, and he simply couldn't get it because he wouldn't accept the fact that there is no such thing as an infinitesimal. Okay, so please stop using terms like infinitesimal calculus. There is nothing infinitesimal about calculus, neither the derivative nor the integral, and both are well defined in my new calculus, and also in the second formulation which I gave to you, and I'll put links to all that in the detail section. Very well then, if you haven't already subscribe to my channel, spread the news. Let's change the way mathematics is taught. Let's fix mathematics. Let's make it comprehensible so that everyone can understand it and everyone can use it. People and students in general hate mathematics because they've got idiots teaching them. They've got fools who've never understood even what the most basic concepts are. They don't even know what a number is. And a number is one of the most important concepts in mathematics. Okay? So, click like, spread the news, and hopefully I'll be able to continue to produce more videos, even though I'm not really feeling that great now, and I usually don't feel great. So, and I need to really motivate myself to produce videos. But I know that there isn't much time left, so I'm doing the best I can. I hope you have enjoyed this presentation. My name is John Gabriel. This is a new calculus channel, and until next time, goodbye.